Well, here we are. We talked about it, and it's getting done. It's Kirk McEwen with Dave Rather from Mothers. And, well, we're going to get to it in a minute about the end of an era downtown, but we've known each other for 30 years or so. How did Mom and Mothers come to be your moniker?
Well, in college and actually as far back as high school, I started getting people together on weekends. I was the party planner. Hey, we're all going to such and such house. I'll bring the beer, let's party. And I kind of got the nickname of Mother. And when I was looking to, start a business, my first thing was Mom's Social Club.
Yes.
Way back in the early 90s when we first met. And, I was taking people down to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. That was a big part about it. And then I'd bring bands up here and throw parties at the Museum of Industry.
What about the cruises? I thought it started with the cruises.
Well, we did the booze cruises for,
Yes.
one whole summer where I got, my friend, Mr. S, Leonard Slider, who's passed, had the Black Eyed Susan in the Inner Harbor. And so I had about 7 or 8 New Orleans bands coming through, Papa Grows Funk and Subdudes and Anders Osborne and, Walter Wolfman and John Mooney. And, we just threw parties on the boat. And
I got so many questions. How did you know all these bands at an early age, all these New Orleans bands?
I just fell in love with New Orleans music. Our friend Dave Geller turned me on to New Orleans music. I went to Jazz Fest, I went to Mardi Gras, and I was hooked. And that was like 29 years ago, and I haven't missed one since.
Oh my God. I went to 94. I saw Greg Allman get thrown out of Tipitina's, but that's a whole other story.
Nice. I'm sure that was awesome. And so I love New Orleans music. And, they've played my wedding, and they've become good friends. And they're just great people. And, the music's just so much fun. And so, it's cool that I've been able to bring them to town and, have them be part of the Mothers brand and turn people on to this.
Oh God, I've seen so much good music at your place.
Yeah, it's been an honor.
So you got the Mother thing going, and then you say, you know what? I need a storefront.
Well, people are like, well, where's the club? Where can I go every day? And, this time my brother had just come back from living in the Virgin Islands, and he learned
You're
how to
talking
cook.
about Adam Rather.
Adam. And I said, well, let's start our own place. And I was working in Empty Pockets, and I was looking around for a place.
Empty Pockets.
That was down on Ford Avenue.
Okay.
And my buddy Mike Gershbach owned that. And so I never had any experience in the restaurant industry, and I was managing that place. And, I heard some guys talk about muleys being available and going up for sale.
Is that Mothers? Was that called Muleys?
That was called Muleys. It was Muleys for 150 years.
Oh.
It was a bakery. And that was their flagship and their warehouse. And then they'd ship their goods every morning to all their retail locations around the city.
So what happened? I guess people stopped getting the Muleys bakery thing.
Breakfast started to die in like the late 80s. And so they broke the business up. There was a diner that they sold, and then the wholesale bakery they sold. The diner they sold to somebody that failed, and I took it over from them.
Right.
And luckily, Mr. Muley believed in me and gave me a good deal on buying it, and I got a liquor license for it. And then I had to raise the money to renovate.
How hard is it to get a liquor license?
At that time, it wasn't hard. They stopped them now. It's impossible.
Okay.
But at that time, you had to show like a minimum investment of like $150,000 and a certain number of seats, and you could qualify for one for free. And so I was able to do that. And then the hard part was raising the money to do all the renovations because I didn't really have any money.
Wow. I give you a lot of credit because you had a vision, you went through, but I also think DeMatha, I think your education had something to do with your drive. I went to Old Mill, and I'm like,
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I mean, I was born to run business. When I was in grade school, I was delivering papers. Back when we had newspapers, I was doing.
Was your dad or mom doing something?
No, they weren't.
This
they were
just
in
came
the army.
from you.
It was from me inside, and I just always wanted to run my own business. My dad was in the army. He was a lifer in the army.
My dad was in the Air Force. It was yes sir, no sir, but I ain't starting no business.
Yeah, and so it was just my calling, and I ran a lawn cutting business, and I would shovel driveways, and and so I would like get up at 5 a.m, deliver papers, drive to DeMatha, play lacrosse, get home at 9 o'clock at night, and then, start it all over again. But, I just had that drive. And in college, I ran a chapter of Student Painters, which is a student-run painting company, but using painting as a tool to teach you how to run a business.
Man, and do your kids, do they have this?
My son Adam, who's here, he has, I think, the drive to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
My son Terry, who's my stepson, he's running Mothers Now. He has the drive to.
If you could adopt my son, that'd be awesome.
So it's in your blood,
Yeah.
but obviously it's not made for everybody. But I think that there's opportunity, and we're in the land of opportunity, and so I feel privileged and blessed to have something like my calling of running, this business, come to me, and I enjoy it, but I've made a really good living at it, and it's allowed me to take care of 4 kids, and me and my wife, obviously Kelly's a huge part of Mothers and running this whole thing. Without her,
She's behind the bar. She's behind everything you do, and
behind everything, and she's the backbone.
Yeah.
And without her, without Adam in the early days, without Mark Boyd, who's passed, without Terry and some of the other key people, obviously it's a family affair, and it's a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. Without the team, we would be nothing. And, I just feel lucky.
Yeah. How you went so long with just the Mother's Federal Hill Grill.
Yeah.
And then you decided, how hard was it to make the decision to go and do the Mother's North?
Well, we started with Mothers in Arnold first, and that was about 10 years ago. And then Mothers in Timonium, which has been about 7 years. And, it was kind of like, Mark who was my partner, he was itching to be an owner. And it, just made sense to allow him to be an owner in the next location rather than the current location that was so busy.
It's so wild because I thought Mother's North was before the Peninsula.
Yeah, no, Peninsula was first.
Wow.
And, and so we knew our brand could travel. It's just, do we want to take on the extra work of opening a new location? And I live in Pasadena, and so, we were taking the kids down Route 2 for sports every day, and there wasn't a lot of opportunities. And then I saw the current location available. We can actually buy the property, and it made sense to go and open our second location.
My friend said, wasn't this blah, blah, blah before? And I'm like, I don't know what it was.
It's been a restaurant for like 50 years.
Yeah.
It's been Griffin's. It's been, it was a steakhouse. It's, people have been going there to eat for 50 years. So it's been a great location. It's a good neighborhood. Route 2 is really busy. And, it's been like 10 years now. And we saw the writing on the wall in the city a little bit with, business slowing down, maybe conventions and tourism, slowing down. So we thought that it would be good to start to diversify and move into the counties.
What role did the riots play in thinking about maybe moving?
I think things started to change once the riots happened. Obviously, it was
2015.
2015, and it was a crazy time. I mean, we didn't have any like damage or any issues in Federal Hill, but we obviously had to board up. We had to close, at dark, and for that weekend or that week.
That was 9 years ago, and you're still going until January 19th, so it didn't wreck you.
It didn't close us, but we had just done a huge renovation, and that was really picking up steam and doing well. And then obviously it stopped, with that. And obviously, business took a turn once that happened, and whether it was the out of town business or even just the business from the counties, things started to slow up a little bit. And and so we said, well, let's start going out to the counties where people know our brand, and a lot of people that grew up in Federal Hill now live in Timonium or live in Severna Park. And it was a natural stepping stone for us to go to those 2 locations.
How hard was it to come up with that moniker, a place you can feel at home?
I'm gonna give that. My brother came up with that, while we were thinking about, taglines. And,
because you do, man, you walk in, there's just a warmth. And I don't know if that is conveyed to the people who are doing the hiring or if it's part of your credo when people train.
It is part of our
'cause
training.
You feel it.
Yeah, well, that's good because we put a lot of effort into it and we care and we want people to enjoy it. And, it's like, when I'm interviewing or talking to, new staff, we feel like, when you go home to mom's house for Thanksgiving or Christmas, she makes like 3 different meals for you, your brother, your sister.
Scratch, baby.
All from scratch. You're fat and happy. Your feet up on the couch. You're
Watching
drinking a
the
beer.
game, yeah.
You're starting to take a nap.
Don't fall asleep, though. Come on now. Stay awake.
Exactly. So, and that's really feeling at home. And
Yeah.
so that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I'm glad that you feel that because we put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And to teach that to the staff is not easy. But, we care and we put a lot of effort into giving good service and hopefully it shows.
You know what I love? Billy from Doc Martin and the Flannels. You catch him behind the bar at Mother's and Arnold. What a great band. What a great dude.
Yeah.
You know what
Great
I mean?
guy.
Humble.
He's been there since we opened.
Is he still there? He'll have to
Still
be
there, like 2 days a week. And, and he actually, his band's played there a little bit. And that's been great. And his band's killing it, just like your band is.
Oh, my God,
And
they're so big.
They're awesome. And, they're doing something that nobody else is doing. It's just a lot of fun. And they're crushing. I went to the Purple Moose to see him this summer down in Ocean City. And that was fun. And so great guy, great music.
It's been fun, Dave, just watching you grow as a person and watching your family grow, watching the brand grow, all without compromise. And I'm excited for the future. I know that, you know what they say. God, I hate it. It's so cliche. When one door closes, but a door's closing and other doors will open. And we're going to be talking about just everything that the legacy of Mother's Federal Hill Grill left behind. Coming up next, Mother's Podcast.